And it is now time for a motion to adjourn with MP Chris Famous and Dwayne Robinson.
And welcome to Motion to Adjourn. I hope all is well with everyone listening. My co-host, is he back?
He's on the line.
Okay.
Sound like you're missing.
How'd you know?
I don't know. Turn your voice, your body language. Good afternoon, brother Dwayne.
How are you, brother?
Good afternoon, brother Dawn, and good afternoon to the people of Bermuda and other places who are listening in.
That's right. We're island-wide. We're worldwide.
That's right.
Yes, indeed. How you doing today, Dwayne?
Well, I'm doing pretty well. You know, I'm trying to run away from the dead bod real quick, so getting more active. Because you know how it goes. It sneaks up on you. You know.
Oh, you want to break just then?
I'm trying to Andy break.
Okay. All right.
And your guest is online as well.
Good afternoon, Honorable Deputy Speaker Malcolm.
Okay, looks like he hung up.
All right, you probably call back.
Technical.
Well, today's guest is going to, as you all know, Bermuda is part of the Overseas Territories, which is basically a nice name for saying they remain in British colonies. It's true, right?
It is.
You change the name from cologne to perfume, it's the same thing, right?
Perfume for man.
It still smells the same. All right. So anyway, there are 14 remaining British overseas territories. Can you name 3 of them?
British Virgin Islands, Bermuda, and the Cayman Islands.
Okay, 3 more. Give me 3 more.
Turks and Caicos.
Okay.
What's that one? Hold on. Gibraltar.
Okay. 5 out of 6 so far, bro.
One slipping me. Help me out.
Okay, there was a war there 40 years ago, way before you were born.
So that's more help doing out there.
Well, your guest is back with us, Chris.
Okay. Good afternoon, Honorable Deputy Speaker. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm doing well. And how about yourself?
I'm blessed.
Praise God.
I want to introduce you to my fellow host, which is Dwayne Robinson.
Nice to meet you. How are you today?
Fine, thank you, sir. It's good to meet you over the airwaves.
And
yes,
and our engineer extraordinaire, Mr. Don Batson.
All right, thank you. So
Okay.
your check's in the mail.
Now, Chris, having met you in St. Lucia and having spent the quality time that you did, I believe we should be on a first-name basis.
Well, we yes, but there has to be respect played to the position. You earned it. You earned it. I don't think you brought it. You didn't pay for it, did you? You didn't bribe anybody, right?
No, I didn't.
So, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I could say Honorable Malcolm, how's that? That's short and enough for you?
That makes it a lot more palatable.
Okay. So, Honorable Malcolm is a duly elected representative from Turks and Caicos Island. He also serves as the Deputy Speaker in the House of Assembly in Grand Turk. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
All right. Now, for those who don't know, Turks and Caicos is the 10th parish of Bermuda.
That's a nice way of putting it.
So if his accent sounds familiar, it's because of some reasons that Dwayne, I'm going to allow Dwayne, Dwayne is an actual parliamentarian who's on break from Parliament right now for maybe until the next election.
Okay.
and he is highly articulate. So I want him to handle the most of the debate today because he is up and coming, someone who is very well versed on many topics and in the region, and is somebody that I think you can take under your wing.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, one thing, MP, you always promoting me.
Hey, it's cool. It's giving you your worth in case there's other people don't give you your worth. You know your way back.
I appreciate it. Well, so just kicking into it, MP Famous did touch on it, that you are technically in the parish of Bermuda. So would you mind just outlining to the listening audience and to us some of the historic connections between our two islands?
Well, the historical connections between the Turks and Caicos Islands is very rich, and I was surprised in meeting Honorable Chris that a lot of people. He said that a lot of people in Bermuda were not aware of the historical connections. As far back as 1678, the Bermudans came to the Turks and Caicos Islands and saw the potential for salt production, and they started harvesting salt. And they came every year, Bermudan sailors, they came every year, spent about 10 months harvesting salt, particularly during the times when there was no rain or little rain. And that went on for a number of years. They brought their slaves with them eventually and peopled the islands, particularly Grand Turk, Salt Key, and South Caicos, where most of the salt was produced during that time. Eventually, the Bahamas got interested in the Turks and Caicos Islands because they saw that the salt trade was very lucrative. And they saw the islands, the Turks and Caicos Islands, as a continuation of the Bahama chain of islands. And so I guess they thought that they had a claim to the islands. And they sort of petitioned the British government for that, to make a claim to the islands. The British government, I believe in the early 1700s rather, issued a claim that gave the Bahamas some authority in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And so the Bahamas government lighted on the Turks and Caicos Islands and started levying taxes against the Bermudan salt investors here, the salt proprietors here, which really didn't go down well with the Bermudans. And eventually, the relationship between the Bahamas and Bermuda became very, very, very bad, very toxic, and almost going to war over salt in the early 1700s. The only thing that prevented, the historians say, them from going to war was that the American war started and sort of distracted them from engaging in warfare. But Bermuda had already dispatched a heavily armed sloop to defend the Turks and Caicos Islands from the Bahamas or the Bahamian intrusion. But over the years, we have maintained a connection to Bermuda because a lot of the names in the Turks and Caicos Islands have Bermudan connections. And so, the connection is very real, very rich, and I think it needs to be revived. I think we need more education on both ends, in Bermuda and in the Turks and Caicos Islands, as to the richness of the heritage that we share over the years. One of the most famous slaves who came to the Turks and Caicos Islands from Bermuda was Mary Prince. Mary Prince went on, like we all know, to live in London, where she wrote about her experiences in the industry. But Mary Prince was sold to a salt owner in Grand Turk in 1806. And so there's that connection there. And she wrote about the atrocities of the slave industry and how black people were treated so badly in that industry. But the history is rich, and we share a rich heritage, and I think that is something to explore going forward.
Agreed. And just touching on kind of reigniting that connection, what are some of the ways that you think our two islands can kind of reignite that connection between us? Maybe just throwing it out there, maybe an exchange student program?
Well, that's good too, but I think it could go to another level. We're both dependent or overseas territories, which means that we have a commonality there. And I believe we're both looking at future self-determination. So at that level, I think there could be some dialogue, some exchange of ideas to sort of promote that endeavor among us, and among the two countries. So yes, student exchange is good, but I think we need to take it to another level.
Understood.
And Honorable Malcolm.
Yep.
Yes.
Go ahead.
What are some of the common surnames in Turks and Caicos or Turks and Caicos Islanders?
Okay, we have surnames such as Inghams, and Ingrams. I think those are names in Bermuda as well. Bassett's, Friths, Simmons and Simons, Tuckers, Lightborns, Smiths, Todds, Christens, Melbourne. As a matter of fact, my great-great-grandmother was Susan Melbourne, who came from Bermuda as a slave. She and another sister, and married an old James Wilson, my great-great-grandfather. And so I have a direct connection to Bermuda that I know of in Susan Melbourne. Then we have the Bastons. My wife and I, we traveled to Bermuda in 2014 looking to make some family connections. And we were living at the Bermuda Princess, Hamilton Princess, and we met a lady in the gift store who connected us with Herman Basden. And we realized that Herman was a very colorful, well-known figure in Bermuda. My wife is a Basden. And so we connected with Herman, and Herman became Uncle Herman to her. And so there's that connection there. But then we have a number of names: the Joneses, the Williamses, the Outer Bridges, the Robinsons, Butterfields. It's a very popular name in Turks and Caicos. The Francises, the Thomases, the Adams. The list goes on. We have many names that can connect to Bermuda.
Hey, heard that, Dwayne? You better go look for your cousins.
I do.
You'll fit right in on
Yes. Yeah,
What about Bassett? Is that a common name in Turks and Caicos?
What is that?
Bassett.
Bassett? Yes, it is. Very common. Very common.
Yeah, I noticed you did mention it, and also you mentioned Lightborns, which is also my family here as well. So kudos for Lightborns and Bassett's.
So we all got to take a trip down.
Yeah, we got to try to reflect, go down there.
Yeah. Next year is going to be on the road.
When we were in Bermuda, the trip was very short. We only spent about 3 days. So we realized that there's a lot more to see, a lot more connections to make. And so we're planning to come back this year before the end of the year, before it gets too cool over there.
Hey, back over to you, Dwayne.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I'm just going to call you my cousin. Cousin, would you mind just going through some of the similarities or some of the characteristics of your House of Assembly?
Okay. Well, after after 2009, after the last partial suspension of our Constitution, the British government came in. They brought in a lady by the name of Kate Sullivan to design a constitution and design a makeup of the parliament. And what the result was that we have 10 constituency seats, and we have 5 at large, that it is called, or countrywide seats. So we have 15 in all of elected members, 10 rather as constituency seats, and 5 at large. Now, at first, this was very, very unacceptable, I should say, to the electorate, because everybody wanted to have someone that they could claim as their representative, rather than having someone who's sharing representation countrywide. And so but after so many years, I think we've settled with it. But I believe in the future it would perhaps change back to all constituency seats.
And the folks that are at large are basically folks that are taking care of multiple constituencies, whereas the entire island.
They represent the whole country, as a matter of fact. Whereas people in the constituencies only those persons in the constituency will vote for them. The people who run at large, they gather votes countrywide. People all over in all constituencies vote for them.
So do they sit equally in the House, or is there this difference between the two when it comes to the House of Assembly?
There's no real difference because we have some of the persons who are at large are ministers and some who are backbenchers.
Okay. So just going forward, I know you mentioned a bit of like kind of touched on the thought process of self-determination, and how is that kind of manifesting within your island now?
Please repeat that for me. I think there was a little break there.
So sorry, I said you touched on self-determination earlier and moving in that direction. So I was just asking, how is that kind of manifesting in Turks and Caicos now in the people? Do you see any signs of that kind of picking up or being a topic of conversation in the grassroots?
I think there's great agitation among the people to move in that direction, but there's a real fear of let me say, the unknown. There's a fear, and I believe that fear is based on what many people perceive as what has happened in countries in the region that opted for independence or opted for self-determination, whereas it appears that some of them may be failing. Their economies may be failing because of going independent. And so this fear feeds into the perception of people about moving forward in that direction. And so I think what needs to happen is that we need to have an educational program in all the dependent territories where we educate our people as to the pros and cons of self-determination, where we educate our people about the benefits of it, where we educate our people about, how. Anyway, any form of education to alleviate their fears. I believe this can take the form of, say, debates at the high school level about the pros and cons of independence, debates at the college level, debates on radio and television. I believe not so much, and we had this discussion before in St. Lucia, not so much among politicians, but among school children and college students and among people in the community who would voice their opinions and debate the issue so that people can be better informed.
Thank you for that, sir. And Pete, you got any questions you'd like to ask?
No, you're doing quite well. Continue, Mambo. You still have the floor.
Okay, because I know, it's Corley and it's hard sometimes to coordinate. I didn't want you to be chomping at the bit there.
No. I've had lengthy discussions with Honorable Malcolm. I wanted to share him with yourself and Bermuda.
Perfect.
Yes, we did.
I appreciate that.
Just as a footnote, last month we were in St. Lucia for a decolonization conference, United Nations, and Honorable Malcolm was the star of the show with his oral presentation that day.
Perfect. I mean, well, what we'll do is we'll just take our first break, and when we come back, we can kind of see if we can get a snapshot of that presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Good.
I want to make mention that the St. Anthony's Roman Catholic Church, Middle Road there in Warwick, will be celebrating their feast this Sunday, June 12th. Now, with a mass service at 1 p.m., which will be bilingual, Portuguese and English, followed by an afternoon of festivities. We're talking about between 2 and 8 p.m. Music, singers, food, baked goods, fun castle, auction, train rides, Portuguese donuts, raffles, and so much more. Come, bring the whole family.
The family farmers who own Welch's insist on making 100% grape juice with no added sugar, colors, or flavors. At harvest time, they pick Concord and Niagara grapes at the peak of their flavor and deliver them within hours to be fresh pressed into delicious Welch's 100% grape juice. Rich in antioxidants, our grape juice adds bold flavor and a nutritional boost to your diet. Visit Welch's.com for healthy recipes.
Just in time for the heat of summer, John Barrett & Son, Bermuda's leading beverage distributor, is bringing back an old favorite, White Rock Sparkling Beverages. Maybe the trademark rings a bell with you baby boomers, White Rock Ginger Ale with the little caricature of Psyche, a mythical fairy-like character on the label, stood tall among the products of the big corporations. White Rock is a 6th-generational-old family business who will bring back some much-needed old-school refreshment this summer. Try White Rock Ginger Ale in a rainbow of flavors in bottles and cans. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Now back to Motion to Adjourn with MP Chris Famous and Dwayne Robinson.
And welcome back to Motion to Adjourn. Honorable Cousin Malcolm, are you still with us?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. We have a quick news break coming up, but I want to just see if you mind giving us a brief synopsis of that conference that you attended with MP Famous.
Okay. Yes. Well, the invitation was extended to our premier, and I guess he had a previous engagement, and he asked me to represent him and to represent the Turks and Caicos Islands. And I think what was foremost in my mind was the fact that during that time, the fiasco in the British Virgin Islands with the alleged criminal impending charges and all of that, and the looming fear that the British government was going to suspend suspend parts of the constitution of the British Virgin Islands. Now that sparked a measure of anger in me, because our own constitution, the Turks and Caicos Islands Constitution, went through something similar on 2 occasions. In 1986, parts of our constitution was suspended. A commission of inquiry came in and did that. And again in 2009, parts of our constitution was suspended. And so I saw that as a setup to set back the agenda for self-determination in our country, and I saw the same thing taking place in the British Virgin Islands. And so my presentation was centered around that, highlighting what we went through and urging our colleagues to ensure that the same thing did not happen in the British Virgin Islands.
Thank you so much. Well, we're going to just take our quick news break. And when we come back, we'll kick into some more questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're locked to Power 95, Bermuda's big station, at 94.9 FM, a Bermuda Broadcasting Company station.
Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Bermuda Broadcasting News. Brought to you by Butterfield.
Take control of your Butterfield credit card by downloading the Butterfield Card Alerts app. Monitor your spending activity with real-time transaction alerts sent directly to your mobile device. And if your card is lost or stolen, use the app to turn the card off, preventing any further transactions from being processed. Download the app from the Apple Store or Google Play Store today. Customized credit card controls. This is banking by Butterfield. The Bank of N.T. Butterfield & Son Limited is licensed to conduct banking business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
The trial of a pair accused of breaching COVID quarantine regulations begins in Magistrates Court. Government begins accepting travel authorization forms up to 30 days prior to departure, examining the impact of Belco emissions. You're listening to Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Now back to Motion to Adjourn with MP Chris Famous and Dwayne Robinson.
And we're back. You still with us, sir?
Yes, I am.
Good. Just to give us a bit of a insight into how Turks and Caicos is doing right now, is there any challenges that your island is facing at this moment?
The biggest challenge we are facing in the Turks and Caicos Islands is illegal migration from Haiti. Haiti is only 90 miles away from the Turks and Caicos Islands, and it is so close that there's a constant flow of sloops with illegal people coming into the country. This is the biggest problem that we face, because once they are taken into custody, then there's a repatriation of process that is costing us millions and millions of dollars for many, many years. So it's a drain on our finances. Secondly, those persons who are able to break through and get into the country They live in substandard houses. Some of them build shanty towns in uninhabited areas, and they have unsanitary practices, which I think is something that we have to grapple with. And so that's the biggest challenge that we face. How do we handle that? And what is happening as a result of that is that a large number of Haitian people are even vying for work permits. And so there's a large Haitian community in the Turks and Caicos Islands that many people are fearful that we're already outnumbered, and which could have a serious economic impacts on our economy and on the other aspects of society. The second problem that we're facing over the years is that our economy is basically owned by expatriates from North America, Canada, and to some extent from Europe. And as a result of that, most of the jobs, or the high-paying jobs, the high-value jobs, are kept in their ambit, under their control. In recent years, we have seen a number of Turks and Caicos Islanders going off, getting qualified, coming back with degrees, master's degrees, PhDs, qualifying themselves. But when they now vie for these jobs, these high-paying jobs, these quality jobs, oftentimes the door is closed in their faces. Sometimes they're told that they're overqualified. Okay? And so what is happening, there's a brain drain in the Turks and Caicos Islands, because many of the young people now who are being trained are opting to stay in the UK or stay in the US to seek for employment. And so that we are losing that quality of education in building our country.
And I think I can't venture to guess every single island, but I think that a lot of islands might share that particular issue when it comes to young people, opting to stay overseas for perceived better opportunities. So just regarding the immigration of the Haitians, what, in your opinion, is the best way to handle that? I know that's a huge question, but what do you believe?
I have some thoughts on that. Recently, there's something circulating on social media that the United Nations was asking countries in the region to be more sympathetic towards Haitians. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think the idea was to embrace them into your society and try to regularize them into your community, which is a huge undertaking for us in the Turks and Caicos Islands with such a small population. We have only about 40,000 people, and most of them are expats. The real indigenous Turks and Caicos Islands are only about 18, maybe 20,000. Okay? So for us to assimilate 12,000 people trying to escape Haiti is unthinkable, unimaginable. My thing is, my idea of what the solution might be is for United Nations or other regional, national, international agencies to ensure that the Haitian economy is built to be resilient so that they don't have to leave home. If they have a viable economy that is providing jobs and opportunities for Haitian people, they will not risk their lives in leaving home on shanty ships or rickety boats. So the solution, my idea is that the solution is to empower the Haitian government to build the economy of Haiti so that Haitians can find a livelihood in their own country.
No, I think that is an excellent thought process. I just, it's kind of sad, that these sort of atrocities are happening. And right now the world is rallying around one particular country. And I think that it's been some things that the UN could be assisting with all this time. But I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. But regarding the Turks and Caicos, as far as your own infrastructure, do you feel as though that might be enticing to the Haitians, or do you think it needs a bit more improvement as well?
Well, there's always room for improvement. But I think because we have a very lucrative high-end tourist, we are a very lucrative high-end tourist destination. And it is easy for Haitian people who come to find employment in that industry. what we have discovered, and you might see the same thing happening in Bermuda, is that many of our people do not want to vie for the low-paying jobs, the menial jobs, and so there's a ready market for Haitian people to fill those vacancies that Turks and Caicos Islands people do not want to embrace. Okay, so that is there. But because of the lucrative tourist industry that we are experiencing and the boom in building and construction that is taking place now, this is an attraction to Haitian people in getting it. And it's so close, it's only 90 miles away. You can almost swim here. I remember a few years ago, a prisoner was on the loose, and the guy ran from South Caicos on foot to Providencia because the water is virtually shallow, stole a boat, and went to Haiti. That's how close we are. That's how close we are. And that is why the problem is so serious.
Understood.
Because Haiti has about 12 million people. If 12 million people decide they're going to come to the Turks and Caicos Islands, we would be overwhelmed.
Definitely. And I know that it might not be the best working relationship right now, but has there been any ask of Britain to intervene in any way?
I suspect, and many people do as well, that Britain has an agenda to increase the franchise, they call it, of the Turks and Caicos Islands. They're saying that we don't have enough people to build a strong economy. And so many people believe that the British government would like to see 20,000, 30,000 Haitian people be assimilated into our society to build the economy so that we can have more money in circulation, that kind of a thing. And so the British, I believe, is not putting any resources into any viable resources, any meaningful resources into combating this problem. And as I said, because they seem to have an agenda of enlarging the franchise with a number of these persons.
Yeah.
Already we have. Go ahead.
Just on that note, if you look at recently in England or Britain or whatever they call themselves over there, right? They have this thing now where anybody entering UK illegally, they want to ship them off. Basically, give them a one-way trip to Rwanda, right? So how is it that Turks and Caicos is a British territory? And according to you, Honorable Malcolm, is that they're not putting the same sort of emphasis on illegal, illegal immigration, right?
Right. Well, they're not, because, as I said, I believe they have a hidden agenda.
Right. So I was contrasting the difference how in their own country, their own island, they want to ship people off, illegal immigrants off the own island. But in Turks and Caicos Island, they're not making much of an effort.
Well, the British has always been known to have double standards when it comes to the territories, in my opinion. That's my personal opinion. So what is good for them is not good enough for us. That's always, in my opinion, has always been their stance. Okay? And I think we just need to be proactive. And this is another area. I mean, I believe it doesn't impact Bermuda so much because you're so far away out there. But the Bahamas has a similar problem because we are so closely connected as a group of islands. And we're so close to Haiti and Hispaniola that the Bahamas is experiencing the same problem and has been experiencing that problem for many, many, many years. And they seem not to be able to get a handle on the problem. Okay? As I said, my solution is for countries, for international agencies to build the Haitian economy and make it a resilient economy. And I believe that, in the end, would prevent Haitians from risking their lives to travel to other countries to look for a living.
So, Honorable Malcolm, let me ask you a question. What is the relationship between your constitution is slightly different from ours, right? In that your governor sits in your cabinet, correct?
Yes.
So how does, in your opinion, how does that come across, like?
It doesn't come across well because the best constitution we had was the 2006 constitution. I think there was more latitude with the local government. The ministers had more power, so to speak. But after the suspension of the Constitution in 1986, or not, rather 2009, those powers were curtailed and given back to the governor in council. And so now, on many occasions, the government has to seek the approval of the governor to give assent to bills and to give assent to projects and all that kind of a thing, which I believe is a setback to us. We had a better constitution, like I said, in 2006 than what we presently have. Mm-hmm. Not only does the governor sit in council, but the governor has the prerogative to appoint 2 persons to the House of Assembly. The government appoints 1, the opposition appoints 1, but the governor has the prerogative to appoint 2 persons to the House of Assembly. So the governor seems to have a very, very serious outlay of power, that I think needs to be reined in. The last time, in 2017, the then government made a petition to the British government to make cosmetic changes to the Constitution. And it was flatly denied. As a matter of fact, I don't think a response was even gotten from the proposal. And so that says that they're really not concerned about us advancing constitutionally. And so it is something we need to look at seriously. And as I said, this kind of dialogue should take place not just in Turks and Caicos, but among other dependent or overseas territories, so that we can all be on the same page and all advance the same ideas.
You hear this, Dwayne?
I hear you.
Because see, what it is, Honorable Cousin Malcolm, in Bermuda, there are certain segments of our population that would never, ever want us to be free of British control, right?
Uh-huh.
So when you start talking to them about, this is kind of like treating us like children, they think that's the norm. And they think, well, maybe it's just your political party because that's why you guys get treated like children by the British. But when they're hearing it from you that the British are doing the same thing in other islands, it's upsetting.
Of course. And I asked the question a few weeks ago. What is the benefit to them of holding on to these territories? And I struggled. I wrestled with coming up with an answer. And the only thing that I came up with was that the British government is trying to hold on to the last vestiges of the British Empire. That's all I can come up with. Help me if you can give me some other inkling of why they want to hold on to these territories.
I'll reserve my comment for another show.
Well,
maybe Dwayne has his. I'd let Dwayne give his input.
On why they would keep the territories?
Yeah.
Listen, as far as I know, you see that there's kind of a bit of a give and take as far as, I'll speak from Bermuda's point of view, where we get to utilize, the British passport, so a lot of Bermudians have become very accustomed to that. And then on the other side of it, obviously, the British have, I guess, financial vestiges in maintaining, their authority over the overseas territories. And I do believe that we as a collective haven't really presented much of a vision for some of our people that are on the fence as far as independence goes. Like, it's one thing, some people are motivated by self-determination, independence as its construct, but others prefer to look at how will me and my family be safe. If I feel as though my family is safer and more profitable and more economically stable underneath the empire, then that's really all I'm looking at. Because in these days, in the 21st century, right, people are looking at empires as things of the past, not really looking at what they're actually doing now. And I think that's something that we as leaders kind of have to let people choose but we need to present all the facts, pros, cons, like you said earlier, and allow people to come to their own consensus. And I think right now it's got to be more than self-determination, charting your own destiny. People want to know where they're charting that destiny to, right? And I think that's where great minds from across the OTs can come together and create that vision,
That's it. That's what I'm advocating for. Coming together and putting our ideas together and moving forward.
All right, so Honorable Malcolm, let's dial it back slightly. In Turks and Caicos, how many main islands are there? Not just say main, how many islands are there? Not counting the little small little keys or whatever.
Okay, we have what we'd like to boast about, having 40 islands and keys. But we have, I think it is 9 inhabited islands, or main islands. Well, not main islands, but 9 inhabited islands where people reside. Grand Turk, the capital, South Caicos, Salt Key, Middle Caicos, North Caicos, Providencia Islands, West Caicos, Ambergris Key, and there's one more, or Delis Key, Pirate Key. Those are the 9 islands where people are living, and some of them are very small islands, but they are very high-end tourist destinations. Pirate Key, for instance, you could rent a villa on Pine Key or Pirate Key for $4,000 a night. Okay?
What is that? What, Disney dollars? What type of dollars?
$4,000 per night. As a matter of fact, on South Caicos, at the hotel called Sail Rock Resort, they have villas going for $4,000 a night. So this is a high-end destination.
How much for a room for the night?
Well, you could get a room, basically a hotel room, for around $300 and up per night.
She.
Okay. And how's the tourism down there right now?
Tourism is very, very good. As a matter of fact, all through the pandemic, the numbers were very, very high. And this is what we call the slow season. The summer holidays is usually the slow season. And the numbers are astronomically higher than previous years. Some hotels are booking 100% occupancy right now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no slow period this year.
Tell us about your particular island.
South Caicos was basically, like I said earlier, a salt-producing island until the 1960s when that industry came to a halt. And then we went through a very dry period for a while until somebody developed a motel and the tourist industry got off to a good start in South Caicos. Providencia ran ahead of us, but we're catching up now. Presently, there are 2 resorts on the island of South Caicos. We have the 5-star Sail Rock Resort and a 4-star East Bay Hotel. Very, very luxurious facilities. And we have a number of infrastructural developments taking place. We're building a brand new terminal building. We're building a brand new port. Other remedial works are going on as a result of the devastation of Hurricane Irma and Maria in 2017. So we're building canals and building drains and drainage systems. So quite a bit of infrastructural work is going on in addition to the operation of these tourist resorts.
Okay. And what's like as you canvass, what are some of the parochial concerns of your constituents?
The concerns are really, and that's another problem. I touched on that before. Basically, a lot of people would like to seek employment in these hotel facilities, and they're finding it very difficult to do so. It seems as if and this is across the country, not just in my island. It seems as if the hotel owners and the business houses would prefer to hire foreign labor, Haitian labor, Dominican labor, or from other regional countries, rather than hiring indigenous Turks and Caicos Islands. One of the reasons for that is that if they hire someone from Haiti, they can pay them less and treat them any way they want to because they feel like these persons have no recourse. Whereas Turks and Caicos Islanders will not settle for that kind of a treatment. They will not settle for being paid minimum wage or below minimum wage. And so those are some of the struggles that we face here. People trying to get into these business houses, get into these resorts, and finding it very difficult to do so.
Do you all have unions down there?
Has what?
Unions, trade unions.
No. And I think the politicians over the years have been afraid to facilitate the formation of unions. And so we have no unions. I have been advocating, like South Caicos is basically a fishing town. Most of the men here are fishermen. And I've been advocating for a fishermen's union or some kind of an association of fishermen to give them more, to create a voting bloc, to create an economic bloc, to create a togetherness that would enable them and empower them to get better prices for their products, to be in a position with a better bargaining position with the fuel companies, the people who purchase their products. But it's been difficult doing so over the years, and one of the reasons for that is back in the 1970s, there was an attempt to form a fishermen's cooperative union, and there was no legislation to support it. And after a few years, that organization failed, and a few of the leading people in that organization ended up with all of the resources. And so as a result of that has left a bad taste in the mouths of fishermen, so they don't want to hear about any kind of union or association or cooperative. But it is vitally important for the fishermen that we move in that direction, and I'm constantly trying to educate, speaking to them one-on-one to get them to the table so that they can decide on at least forming a cooperative union, a cooperative credit union, really, to take this thing to the next level.
All right. Before we go to our last break, just a few comments are coming on WhatsApp. One is a lady who does tours. She has a minibus company that does tours on Mary Prince, so she was happy to hear that Turks and Caicos Islanders know about the legacy of Mary Prince. Another one is a gentleman, one of my mentors asks what's the take-home pay for locals, and I'll let you answer that when we come back. And then another one is from a lady. Her dad is a Bermudian, was a Bermudian, but he has spent a lot of time in Grand Turk, Mr. Robert Lee.
Okay. I think I heard that name before. Yeah.
Yes.
As far as take-home pay, minimum wage is still $6.50 here, and there's quite a bit of agitation and people voicing their opinion that is inadequate because the cost of living has skyrocketed, and even more so nowadays with the world economy the way it is. And so there's a movement afoot to increase minimum wage, and people are advocating for at least $9 minimum wage to sort of offset the cost of living in the Turks. The cost of living is very high in Turks and Caicos Island. Perhaps you realize that during your visit here, to go into the supermarkets, your money needs to be long.
I went
when you go shopping.
I went to Grace Bay and I thought I was walking into Bermuda supermarket. We'll go to our last break and then we'll come back and wrap up.
Hey guys, are you experiencing plumbing or electrical issues? Do you want to renovate your bathroom or change that window or door? Are you looking to remodel, drywall, and paint your office, but you don't have the time? Call 24-Hour Maintenance. They do everything. Quality home repairs, remodeling, painting, masonry, drywall, plumbing, and electrical. They do it all. No job too large or small. For free estimates, call 516-7642, or you can email them at 24/7, that's 247, maintenancebda@gmail.com. Don't forget, they do it all. Have you been diagnosed with pre-diabetes? Act now to protect your health. Freestyle Libre helps you to keep your glucose levels under control with an easy single scan at any time. You can find it at the Bermuda Diabetes Association, located on 22 Princess Street in Hamilton, or you can give them a call at 297-8427.
Looking for savings when you ship to Bermuda? Look no further than Zipex. Our customers don't pay any sales tax at checkout when shipping to our Zipex Delaware address. Save on all the things you love and enjoy island-wide delivery to your door. Or pick up from our convenient Zipex Collection Center at 15 Gorham Road, located between Oleander Cycles and Lobster Pod. Zipex customers can collect packages from Monday to Friday between 8:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. or Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. To sign up for your free Zipex account, Visit zipex.bm/sign up. Shop, ship, and save with Zipex.
Now back to Motion to Adjourn with MP Chris Famous and Dwayne Robinson.
And we're back.
Dwayne, back over to you.
Yes, thank you. So I don't know. Did you answer all of those WhatsApp questions?
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, they're basically comments, eh?
Yeah.
It was one on the wages. Yes.
All right. So we'll just hand it over to you as we're coming to the end. If there's anything that you would like to pass on to the folks in Turks and Caicos and the folks in Bermuda, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. One of the things I'm looking at is it's been around for a long time, but I think it's gaining more momentum now, is the movement for reparations to the people of the Turks and Caicos Islands and other territories where slaves were so badly treated and exploited. So this movement for reparations is one that I'm looking at with great interest. My grandfather was a salt raker, and I remember going to him in the salt ponds to take his breakfast before going to school. And I remember seeing him, as Mary Prince described, with standing in brine, salt water up to his knees for hours and hours and hours, just to make £1 10 shillings per week. And so this movement for reparations, I think, is one that is going to gain momentum, and is one that I think all of the dependent territories need to get on board with, because I think that in itself would be a means of getting the resources that we need to propel us towards self-determination.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that closing remark, Honorable Cousin, MP Famous. Do you have any closing?
I just want to thank Honorable Malcolm for taking the time out to speak to the people of Bermuda, and there are people in Turks and Caicos listening in. When I was there for 4 days, I felt like I was at home because everybody sounded just like Bermudians. Everybody was like, hey, I'm from Bermuda. I've got cousins up there and blah, blah, blah. So I just want to give a shout out to the people of Turks and Caicos. And Honorable Malcolm, there was a gentleman I met, worked for tourism, I want to say, Mr. Bean. And the Bean started name B-E-E-N.
Right.
I'm not sure which island he's from, but he said his brother is a very
Brian B.
Right. His brother is a very big historian. What I like to do is a continuation of this for our people to get to hear each other on the radio and online or whatever, and we have to talk to each other. We don't need permission from England to talk to each other, right?
No.
And that's what they've been relying on, us not talking to each other.
And we need not be fearful about what we say.
Yeah,
not exactly.
Exactly. So once again, I want to thank you and give my regards to Mrs. Baisden Malcolm.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to connecting with you guys when we come to Bermuda later in the year.
All right. Bring some of that conch when you come up, see?
I certainly will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Be blessed now. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
All right. So, we're wrapping up. That was a good one. Any closing remarks before we go?
Brother Dawn, thank you to the people of Bermuda. Thank you for the WhatsApp and inboxes. And we'll see you next week. You close out, man.
And with that, after speaking to my long lost cousin, we're going to adjourn until next Thursday.
And you have been listening to Motion to Adjourn with MP Chris Famous and Dwayne Robinson.